some fish today in the water.
Yeah, I'm sure that more updated picture will come up. Okay, we're on the bottom of Gimel Lamed Beis.
They're nice and skinny, so it's
Yeah, I see the whole thing. Yeah, this is the max. I see most of the Masechah Sukkah will give us the whole
very
screen.
nice. It's good.
Okay, so
I'm
the
getting to like it.
you should enjoy it more and more. Okay, the Mishnah said that higher than 20 amos is not good. If the schach is higher than 20 amos. So the Mishnah, Gemara is going to talk about how to minimize it. All different kinds of minimizing it. Rashi says that this whole Gemara doesn't say any names. Thank you. It'll have some names as we go on, but most of the Gemara is going to be, Rashi calls it Fiskei Shmuas from the Kol Bnei Yeshiva, that Rashi was Masad there. So it starts at the bottom. Instead of bringing the schach down, he wanted to elevate the floor. And he wanted to elevate the floor. What kind of material is he using? So if he uses a material that nobody would leave that permanently, karmic sosis means mattresses and pillows. Lo avimiyat. That's not considered having minimized the height of the sukkah. I mean, just to give an idea, if someone's going to stand on a table, and he's going to say, it's less than 20 amos from me to the top, that doesn't help because the sukkah is still more than 20 amos. You happen to be suspended in the air, but they have to have something to minimize the sukkah. So karmic sosis, even though the maisi is standing on that, then you're less than 20 amos till the schach, but the sukkah is still more than 20 amos, so it's not good. Love you, mute. The Yafal Gav. Okay, just up. What do we have here? Yeah. Top of the Daf Dalid. Even if you, the heck of the word Lakulu, even if you would have nullified it, I'm going to leave it here. Rashi talks about leaving it here for 7 days of Sukkot. Others say leaving it permanently. That's not enough. Nobody does that. Even if a person is going to say, I'm going to leave these blankets and mattresses here permanently, it doesn't make a difference and it's not bata. So that's easy halacha. The first halacha was that karmic sosos, things that people don't leave there permanently, even if you decided to do it, doesn't make a difference and it's still considered 120 amos as possible. The next case is Tevenu Bitlo. I just made an underline because I couldn't, it didn't work to highlight it. Tevenu Bitlo, having mir v'cholskin afro bitlo. If you took things which sometimes you do leave permanently, like Afar surely, Afar is the earth, and Tevin is something which has other purposes also, like giving it to animal food or building material or cushioning material. People put it in mattresses. But if you mavatal it, that's really something which is normal. And therefore, if you mavatal the Tevin, the straw, or kolshkein Afar surely, Afar, and you say, I'm permanently leaving it over here, that's surely considered that you minimize the sukkah and it's kosher. And that is not an issue. But the issue is going to be a little bit less. Tevin ve'nasa lefanosa v'afar stam. There are going to be three categories. One is bitlo, like we had bitlo. The next case is enos lefanosa, means that I have no intention of taking it away. Let's say Rashi says for the 7 days of Sukkot, or some others will say permanently. But I wasn't mavatal it, but I don't have any plans of removing it. That's a little bit less than bitlo. But the next case, which is even less, is stam. That is without any thought. And the point is going to be that Afar is more batal than Tevin. Tevin is something that has other uses, and sometimes used for building, sometimes for animal food. But Afar is something which is more usual to leave permanently. So these two things are going to be machlokes. Rav Yossi is going to say that it's considered batal. The Rabbanan say not. Rav Yossi, machlokes Rav Yossi Rabbanan. And what's the Gemara bringing an issue about the Tumas Ohel? Tumas Ohel is when it's a mace inside Ohel. So there's a difference if it's considered a tefach space or not. It's not our subject right now, but over there, the subject is if it's considered filled in or not. You had a house with a mace inside, is it considered filled in, or is there a space? Is there a hollow space inside? So it says over there, that's the Mishnah. It says if you had a house that has a mace inside, or mace, and you filled it up with straw or with pebbles, pebbles for our purpose is the same thing as offer. There's no difference between pebbles and earth. And it says bitlo muvatal. If you nullify it, you say I'm going to leave it there permanently, so it's batal, and that's the end of the Mishnah. That's the Rabbanan. They say that even afar, you have to have bittul. That's very extreme. That even afar, it's only considered permanent. It's only considered batal there if you mavatal it. You have to say I'm leaving it there permanently. So that's the extreme shita. By the way, if passing like that, it's going to make everything very simple. Even though we're going to have some details, intricacies coming up, but the halakha is very simple, like the Rabbanan. Even afar has to be batal. You have to be mavatal in order that it should be considered a bittul. So that and
what?
What?
Why do you have to build it? I mean, it's a physical thing, right? That's what
Again, we started off talking about a sukkah which was more than 20 amas high, and you want to minimize the height of the sukkah in order that it should be a kosher sukkah. So you brought enough, or you spilled dirt on the floor. So we're saying that it's only good if you're mabatal it over there. If you're not mabatal over there, you plan on taking it away. So then it's not going to be a kosher sukkah, even though the physical halal of the sukkah is less than 20 amas. It's not good because this is only temporary. So we pass along to Rabbana that only if it's going to be bitlo, and Tevin also is good enough bitlo. But it says Tevin Otzros or bitlo movatal, and that's what the Gemara is medayik, bitlo in, lo bitlo lo. According to the sheet of the Rabbanan, only if you movatal it, you nullify it, that it's going to permanently stay over there, then it's considered batal. If not, it's not considered batal, and it's still considered halal.
That system doesn't work for the kisos and karim.
Right. We said before that comic sosos, even if you bottle it, it's not good because bottle not basic. A lot of nobody does that. So even if you bottle the mattress over there, it's not bottle. But Ofor and Tevin, if you bottle it, it is bottle. But this is an extreme shita. This is Rabbanan. But now we're going to show that Rabbi Yossi argues on two or three of these points. Tani Allah, we had a brayso on that Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Omer Tevin Beinas Lefanoso Hareyu Kafar Stamu Bottle. If you put Tevin and you have no intention of taking it away, it's not. You want to bottle it, but you have no intention of taking it away. It's as good as Afar Stam, which is also good enough. Afar, even if you're not in Lefanoso, just Stam. So you see two chedushim already. That according to Rabbi Yossi, Tevin. If a Tevin Stam is not good enough. He's going to say in a second, Tevin Stam is not good enough. Because Tevin is something which you do have other purposes. It's not as good as Offer. But Tevin, if you have no intention of taking it away, is as good as Offer Stam, and both of them is Batal. But Offer, also the Stam Tevin below Batal. But if Offer, which you intend to take away, that's the worst. If you intend to take it away, then surely it's not good, even according to Rabbi Yossi. But and therefore it says it's like Stam or Tevin, which is also not good enough. Even Rabbi Yossi himself holds that Stam Tevin is not Batal. That's the end of the sugya. Rabbi Yossi has a couple of kulas. Rabbi Yossi says that Offer Stam is Batal, and Tevin Bein Lasad Lafanoso is also good enough. Tevin Bein Lasad Lafanoso and Offer Stam is good, and of course Offer Bein Lasad Lafanoso is good. If he says Tevin Bein Lasad Lafanoso is good, then surely Offer. And there are
What's the difference between the lashon of Rabbi Yossi? He says ein kavanah lefanoso as opposed to bittul.
Bittul means that bittul. No, bittul means I'm nullifying it here. That's a positive statement.
Much stronger,
right? And that's what that means. I have no reason to take it away in the next 7 days.
So that's the
that's ein lasad lefanoso. That's less. So Rabbi Yossi also says good enough. Tevin bein lasad lefanoso is good enough, and surely Ofar bein lasad lefanoso, and even Ofar Stam. Three kulas of Rabbi Yossi want to argue all three of those, and they say that even the most extreme case, even Ofar, it's only good if it's batal, only if you batal it over there, and that's the halacha. So the halacha is simple. Rabbi Yossi has three kulas: Tevin bein lasad lefanoso, Ofar bein lasad lefanoso, and Ofar Stam. All those things Rabbi Yossi holds also as batal, but we pass along to Rabbanan that even Ofar is only batal if you batal it. Next sugya. You have the schach which is above 20 amas, but the leaves, the hutzin is like we have those who use palm branches for schach, so they have this that it hangs in. The leaves of the palm branch, they lean down. So is that good enough? Where do you count the 20 amas? The schach itself would say is above 20 amas, but the leaves are hanging into the sukkah beneath 20 amas. Is that good enough to say that the sukkah is less than 20 amas? Of course, the Avdama would be that if you have a very thick schach, anything as long as the bottom of the schach is that's the more in Erevin over there towards the beginning. As long as the bottom of the schach is within 20, the halal sukkah, that the halal, the hollowness, the space of the sukkah is less than 20 amas. That's halacha. So here you have the hutzin coming into the sukkah less than 20 amas, and that makes that it should be less than 20 amas. Is that good? So the Mishnah says the Gemara says it depends. That part that goes into below the 20 line. So if that part alone is we said in the Mishnah that schach kosher has to be more shade than sun. The fact that you have shade from the schach which is above 20 doesn't help you because that's above 20. If you would imagine all the schach above 20 is taken away and you only have the schach below 20, those hutzin which go into below 20, if that alone would have been then it's kosher. But if not, even though you have something hanging into the sukkah and you have sale from the schach which is above the 20, that's not good. It has to be that the schach, sale of the schach is given to you from the schach which is below 20. The opposite case, what if there was a minimum sukkah? We said that there's also a minimum sukkah shouldn't be less than 10 tefachim high. What if you had a sukkah which was 10 tefachim? It was the minimum height, But now you have the opposite, that Hutzah not going into the sukkah, and it goes into less than 10 tvachim. So the svar would be the same as we said before, that whenever it's chamosim ruba mitzilasa, it's not considered there. So Sabra Abai Lamema, im chamosim ruba mitzilasa, Abai thought, based on the svar we said 2 lines ago, that if it's chamosim ruba mitzilasa, the part that's below 10 tvachim is not enough kosher schach. So you ignore it as if it's not there, and you have a sukkah if it's so then you have the schach less than 10 tvachim, it's not good. But if the part below 10 tvachim is chamosim ruba mitzilasa, it should be kosher. Amalei Rava, no. Adira Shruchi, that's not a comfortable way to live. It's a side problem. You're right. As far as the technicalities of 10 tvachim, it seems to be 10 tvachim, but that's not the way people live. The word saruach means something which has an odor, so it means that it's not a comfortable, convenient way of living. So it's not even for dira arai, it's not good. Not only a dira skeva, it's not good for dira arai, and people don't live like that. So it's the puzzle sukkah, and that's a lachi personally like Rava, that even if the part that went into the below 10 tvachim is chamosim ruba mitzilasa, it's still not kosher because it's not comfortable to live. Next case here, the Gemara has a picture over here. I'm sure. Yes.
The Gemara should say dira lo na'im, dira.
Okay. I don't know. The next one has a picture over here. If anybody has more updated pictures, also might help. But first, get a. It's an aerial view over here. You see the three walls of the sukkah, and we're looking down. We see over there the shaded area is a platform. And from the platform, the top of the platform until the schach is less than 20 amos. From the floor till the schach is more than 20 amos. But you're on a platform. A platform is surely considered an elevation. And even though we spoke about how to elevate the sukkah, we spoke about ofar and karmic sus as a platform. You make a stage. These stages, that's good enough. So you put a platform into a sukkah. So that's the first case, is that it goes from wall to wall. So he has 3 walls. If he'd be sitting on the platform, he has 3 walls. Kosher sukkah. That platform is the right size, 7 by 7 tvachim, and it goes up kula from wall to wall, so it's kosher, sheva, because he has 3 walls. Rashi talks about, I'm just putting a footnote, Rashi talks about if he's allowed to sit not on the platform. But the Gemara doesn't talk about it, so just to make it easy, we won't talk about that. But just talk about on the platform. On the platform, he has 3 walls. He's from the top of the platform till the ceiling, till the schach is less than 20 amas. So it's good. But minatzad, the next picture over here, here's the next picture. Then he put the platform on the side of the sukkah in a way that he only has 2 walls. Being on the platform, he only has 2 walls. The other wall, that's the 3rd wall. But over there, that whole area is the schach is above 20. When he's sitting on the platform, he looks up from the platform till the schach is less than 20, and he has 2 walls, but that's not good enough. You need a 3rd wall. So how about that? Minatzad, if he put the platform on the side of the sukkah, if from the platform until the wall that he needs is less than the alaramis, that's called dofen akuma. That literally it means a bent wall, and that's going to be Allah Moshe Messina. We'll come across it a lot in the sukkah, that sometimes the wall, it's an aerial view, so it's hard to imagine, but not so hard to imagine, that the wall and the schach is considered a bent wall. Means, let's say you have a wall, it has to be perfectly straight. It can be a little bit bent. How about if it's an amma bent, 2 ammas bent, 3 ammas bent? That's all considered a wall. Until 4 ammas. Less than 4 ammas is still considered a bent wall. Once it's 4 ammas, then it's too much of a space. So if the wall is less than daled ammas until the platform, so we look at the wall and the schach on top of it, even though it's higher than 20 yamas, we look at it as one continuous wall, and you have a wall. You ask the person, he's sitting on the platform, where's your wall? He says 1, 2, and that wall that's yonder over there, look on the schach, and it's considered a bent wall that comes up into my schach. So I also have 3 walls. But if it's 4 amas or more, then it's too far to be considered a bent wall. Too much, you don't have such a bent wall. A dofen akum is only till less than daled amas, and then you only have 2 walls, and it's not kosher. That's the words inside again. Minatzad, if the platform is on the side of the sukkah in a way that it doesn't have 3 walls on the platform, so where's your 3rd wall? If it's daled amas from the end of the edge of the platform until the wall, so it's possible because you don't have a 3rd wall. But if it's less than daled amas, it's kosher. And the Gemara is going to explain right away, Mike and Mashmalan, that dofen akum. This sounds like you're telling this halacha, dofen akum, a bent wall theory, that it works. But the Gemara is saying that we know that already, and it's considered a chiddush. It's a Mishnah. We learned in a Mishnah, when you had a house has 4 walls with a roof on top. The roof is not kosher schach, but nifchas, the roof caved in, the ceiling caved in, and you have now an opening, but not that the whole ceiling caved in. The middle of the ceiling caved in, and you have the the remainder of the old roof all around, but you put schach in the middle. If anybody has a picture, we could, we'd happy to see it. But if not, just imagine you have a house that's the middle of the ceiling caved in, and you put schach over there on that middle on the part.
People have that in America, in their kitchen.
Yeah, what do you call it?
Uh-huh.
Ceiling,
And then
ceiling,
The ceiling moves away,
Right.
And then you put-
in the middle, they have a round thing, and then they put schachtel, and then they
Uh-huh.
go underneath it.
and they don't have the whole thing opens up. Not that the whole ceiling opens up. Okay, that's Allah. They're doing this halacha. They're doing Baish and Ifchas. As long as you have less than Dalet Amos, if you have Dalet Amos like 2 meters, 1.92, so then it's going to be too much. If you have less than Dalet Amos, so then you could consider that all those walls are bent walls. That where's the, you ask him Yischach. He shows you the schach. He wear your walls. He shows you the walls. So you ask him what's the kesha, my kesha between the walls and the schach. So you say that the walls are all bent walls. That the ceiling that goes past the wall, the ceiling is a continuation of the wall until the schach. So I have 4 walls, and over there says that it works as long as it's less than Dalet Amos. So why are you telling me a chiddush of Dofen Akum is already a Mishnah? If the ceiling was taken away, the middle of the ceiling, and the side of the ceiling is still there, and you put schach, if it's Dalet Amos of the ceiling from the schach until the wall, so it's possible because that's too much to say Dofen Akuma. Less than that is kosher. So you say Dofen Akuma. So what's the chiddush over here? The Gemara says there is a chiddush. Now the tema also moved the chazil dofen. You might think over there is the wall is a good wall. The wall is a good. Over there the problem was that the schach was not a kosher schach. So you continue the wall with the non-kosher schach to be considered part of the wall. But over here this thing is more than 20 amos high. So you might think that using this kind of svara to say that even though it's higher than 20 amos, it's still good enough. That's more of a chiddush. Kamash plan is also good, but it is good. So as far as what we say so far, that in the first case you have 3 walls and then chiddushim over there, you have 3 walls. In the second case, but in this case, you need a 3rd wall. So if it's less than Dalet Amos from the edge of the platform until the other wall that you need, so then you'll say Dofen Akuma, and it's on the platform is good. On the platform is a kosher sukkah. Oops, sorry. Not drawing well today.
Is it,
Okay.
if you have two walls in the tefa, in Dalet Amos would be enough.
2 walls and a tefach.
Within Dalet Amos. You don't have to have all 4 sides. Within Dalet Amos, 2 walls and a tefach within.
The 2 walls you have already. 2 walls you have inside and
No,
the
that's
third
not this, but that's not kuma
from a house. Okay, I have to think more than if
Okay,
just
fine,
I'm not tuned in. Okay, next case. Here the case is it's far away from all the walls. You had a sukkah which is higher than 20 amos. You put a platform in the middle. Oh no, no, I'm sorry, I didn't say. Yeah, you have a platform in the middle, no walls at all. But the same idea. It's going to say the same thing again. That if you have less than amos to a couple of the sides, 3 sides, that would be good enough. Also, it's going to say the same thing over again. It's going to say that it helps on many sides, not only on one side. I'm done. Something's wrong.
The platforms are leading in from lower than 20 amos.
If you're sitting on the platform, from the platform until the schach is less than 20 amos. If you're on the floor, then it's more than 20 amos. You put it on the platform and you say, no, I'm okay. You go into the platform and you say that I'm less than 20 amos from this is my new floor, the elevator's floor. So you say I'm less than 20 amos. Well, we tell him, okay, very nice. Where are your walls? So in the first case, he has 3 walls. In the second case, he has 2 walls. And Dofen Akuma will give him the 3rd wall, just less than Dalet Amos. Now the next case is going to be that he put the platform in the middle of the sukkah and he has no walls. So we tell him you can do Dofen Akuma on 3 walls as long as you have less than Dalet Amos on 3 sides. That's the next case here.
The most cooler.
What? That's,
The most cooler.
yeah. The sukkah was more than 20 amos, and he put a platform in the middle, and he has no walls next to him. So again, Dofen Akuma will work. If he has less than Dalet Amos from the edge of the platform to each direction, it doesn't mean all 4 directions. 3 is enough. You only need 3 walls. So then it'll be good. If you have Dalet Amos, then it's no good. Psula, because it's Dalet Amos, you don't see Dofen Akuma. If it's less than 4 amos, then it's kosher because you have Dofen Akuma. The Gemara says you just said that. What are you telling me? You say Dofen Akuma. We said it before that if you have 1 wall, you say Dofen Akuma. So now you're saying it a few times. Is there more chiddush in there? The Gemara says yes. You might think they only say Dofen Akuma 1 time. You might think you don't say it many times. The truth is, by the case of the house, it already said you do. By Shnifchas, you do say it on all 4 sides. But that's talking about a regular Dofen Akuma. Here we're saying there's a chiddush in the Dofen Akuma because it's more than 20 amos. So for that extra chiddush, you say it even more than 1 wall. If that's all good, we can go further. Next case. The very short sukkah we said in the mission also, it has to be a minimum of 10 tefachim high. This sukkah was less than 10 tefachim high. He had walls, everything, but less than 10 tefachim high. So how did he? So one way is to make it higher. But he dug down. He's going to dig into the floor in order to make that the halal should be 10 tefachim. He dug down in order to make the 10 tefachim high. So now the issue is that where are his walls? Again, where are his walls now? It's true. He sits inside the chakak. He made the chakak, let's say 7 by 7 tefachim, and he from his floor, his new floor, until the schach is 10 tefachim. Now I ask him, where are your walls? So here it has to be dafka if the wall of the chakak, the wall of the engraving, till the side wall was, let's say the side wall was 7 tefachim. Let's say he had a 7 tefachim sukkah and he dug down 3 tefachim. Or let's say not to get the numbers mixed up. Let's say he had 8 tefachim sukkah, and he dug down 2 tefachim in the middle, and now he has a height of 10 tefachim. So we are his walls. So it's going to be a combination of the 2 tefachim that he dug down and the 8 tefachim wall that's there. So then it only combines if it's going to be less than 3 tefachim from the dig out from the carve out to the side. And I didn't have any. I was going to put pictures. I wasn't able to. But if anybody has any diagrams you could put on, that would help. There's a book over here. If anybody at least here wants to look at it, they could see any diagrams that's here on the Dalet Amud Aleph. If from the edge of the engraving until the wall is Gimel Tzvachim, it's not good because it's not loved anymore. Pacha is we're on Daf Dalet Amud Beis. Pacha is sorry. If it's less than 3 tefachim from the edge of the chakak, of the engraving until the wall, then it's kosher because you have lovud. Before, when it was too high, 20 amas high, so we said that as long as it's less than Dalet Amos, say Dofen Akuma. How come you don't say Dofen Akuma over here? How come you don't say that as long as it's not a distance of Dalet Amos, also will be kosher? The Gemara says no. Over there you had a wall. It was a good wall. It was more than 20 amas, but it's the wall. Less than 4 amas would be good enough because you have Dofen Akuma. That's the halacha, Dofen Akuma. Rashi says that the whole word is Dofen Akuma. Dofen Akuma means the halacha of the bent wall. It has to be a bent wall. But it means it's already a wall, and now you're bending the wall. But less than 10 tefachim is not considered a wall yet. So there's no such halacha to make a bent wall in order to create that it should be a wall. So here you have to go to regular halacha of lovud, and if you have part of the wall, whatever it is, 8 and 2, 9 and 1, 7 and 3, whatever it's going to be, the combination is only going to be if the distance between the dig out, is that how you call it? The place which is dug out and the wall is less than 3 tefachim, then it'll connect. If not, it's not going to be connected. And all these, it'll be passed like all these cases. That's halacha also. Next case. Here, the case is that you have a pillar. Here it changes the word from itztava to amud. Itztava is like a platform. Maybe it's hollow, whatever the case would be. Amud is a pillar. And the issue is that when you're sitting on top of this pillar has 10 tefachim high. Till now we also didn't talk about that 10 tefachim high. Since till now we just spoke about that it minimized the height of the sukkah from 20 yamas, whatever you needed, but as much as you needed to minimize it. Here the point is that it's 10 tefachim, and of course it's 4 tefachim by 4 tefachim because the sukkah has to be at least 7 by 7. So you have the dimensions, and the issue is going to be that maybe you say good asik mechitzasa. The halacha is, let's say by Shabbos, if you have such a kind of a pillar which is 4 by 4, 10 tefachim high, so the outside it's considered rishus yachar on top of the amud. Why is that? Because the walls, the size of this pillar, halachically go up. That's called good asik. So too, the person thinks that there's a lumdus over here that you'll be on top of this pillar, and you ask him where are your walls. Here it doesn't have, the walls are too far away. It's not Amish, it doesn't have any walls. But the amud alone that he's sitting on, the side walls should be considered halachically that they raise up. And he's sitting in halachic walls. The fact that he say good asik means that good means to draw, shlep, mashoch, and asik means to go up, draw up. So all the walls of this amud halachically are considered raised. So if you're sitting on top of the amud, so it should be that these halachic walls, they surround you on all sides, and you're less than 20 amas until the schach. The truth is, you could talk about this even if it wouldn't be issue with 20 amas. The Gemara talks about 20 amas, even if it would be less than 20 amas, but you ask him where are your walls, he has no walls. He wants to sit on an amud, and the size of the amud should be considered that they're raising up.
How big is the oven?
10 tefachim high, and if 7 by 7. Not at minimum. Probably make.
Excuse me, I have. Can I share a screen? I have 3 pictures.
We were waiting.
That I was.
Okay. Thank you. Go ahead.
I'm not sure if we'll be already beyond what you talked about here. The first two are talking about the digging down, why one is puzzle and one is kosher. And then are we now in Zion? Is that right?
I don't see it so well. I'm sorry. I don't, you see it over
Oh,
here?
it's too blurry?
Yaakov,
Okay.
That's the whole, that's the dig out over there? Okay, so that's good.
What's the top?
What's the top picture?
This one, the top picture is there's 3 tefachim between the hole and the wall, so it's puzzle.
Lev Yaakov, I'd appreciate if you could make that a little bigger.
Okay, so the top
I don't
picture is
know.
where there's 3 tefachim from the place which is dug out to the walls. Very good, okay, they're a little higher.
I don't know. Is it bigger now? There.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Here's 3 tefachim, so that's too far.
That's too much, right. And then the next picture is gonna be that it's not less than
What do
3
you mean it's
tefachim.
too much?
That's from the place which is dug out until the side is 3 tefachim, so that's too much. But here, that's less than 3 tefachim, so then it's connected. Then the part which is dug out and the wall, let's say the wall is, I don't see what it says over here. How tall is the wall itself?
7 tefachim.
7 tefachim, and it's dug down deep 3 tefachim, but it's connected.
3.
Connecting part, the floor around, which is the margin around, is less than 3 tefachim. That's level, and then it's kosher. Very good.
Yeah.
Why? Now
And then this,
So that's the more Rashi the sense, and the one answer is because in the first case you have a dauphin. It's more than 20 amas, so that's but it's a dauphin. But over here, that's less than 10 tefachim. It's not considered a dauphin, so you don't use dauphin akuma. There's no such din of dauphin akuma to create a dauphin.
And then love it only.
Only love it looks right. And this last case is not our sugi. What is that? That's the pillar.
Haita
So
gavoa me'esrim ama uvana ba
so why
amud
don't they
shehu
go over there?
gavoa esrim.
Fine. Okay, so he's on the Amud, and he wants that the sides of the Amud should be considered halachically raised. He's sitting on top of the Amud, and
Yeah.
he wants that the walls of the Amud, like by Shabbos, is to be considered Rishus Yachid on top because the walls are considered raised. So too, good Asik should make that the person sitting on top of the Amud has walls all around him. Is that good enough? So Abaye, that's good. Yeshikar, thank you. So, Haisa, Gavora, Sarat, Esem Amobana, Mochu, Gavora, Sarat, Vacham, Yeshbo, Hekshasok. It has the dimensions of a silk 7 by 7. So, Sabra, by the Member, Asak Richitzasa. Sabai thought it's good because the wall, the sides of the Amud are halachically raised, and you have to Vacham walls around you. Amalei Rava, no, it's not good. The Inan, Mechitzas, and Ikaras were like by Shabbos, it's good enough because it's considered halachic mechitza. But over here, it has to be recognizable. The fact that you're sitting in top of a Amud, you don't see any walls around you. Before, Dofen Akum was considered a wall there around, but here to say that the walls beneath you are going to be considered halachically raised, that's not good enough. And therefore that's how we pass like Rava that it's not good. On this you don't say Dofen, you don't say Godasik, and it's not kosher mechitzas. One more sugya, extended sugya. I just underlined it because I couldn't highlight it. You thrust 4 poles into the ground in the 4 corners and you put schach on top. No walls at all. So it's just being elevated. The schach is elevated because you have condensin. It's nothing to do with 20 amas anymore. We finished with the 20 amas. But how can you have walls? So for some reason, the Rebbe said that it's kosher. We don't know yet why. So the chacham postman. So the chara, you have no walls. Why should it be kosher? Till now, you had all kinds of dofen akuma and lavud and what else did we have?
It's like a chuppah.
A chuppah, yeah, very good. The Gemara is going to soon say that the poles are pretty thick. The Gemara is going to say that it might be, but we'll go slowly with the Gemara. So far, spoke about like a chuppah. The chuppah means the schach is the schach on top, and you have 4 poles that are holding it up. Yaakov says it's kosher. You have a kutzaka, that's a pella. A chacham postman because you have no walls. Yaakov means that you put these 4 poles by the edge of the roof. So the walls of the house are halachically elevated. And the Gemara is going to say maybe that this might be the Taisvus Rashi that this is better, even though also it's similar to the case of the Amud. You're sitting on top and you're saying that the walls that are beneath you are coming elevated. Before we said it's not good. This is better. Taisvus says because the wall of the house, inside the house you see the wall, outside the house you see the wall. Is better than Amud that you don't really see a wall. You just saw the Amud. So this is as far of a Yaakov that he holds that it's kosher in this case. The case would be that you have the 4 pillars, the 4 poles in the 4 corners of the roof, and the reason Rabbi Yaakov holds that as kosher, Rabbi Yaakov Sabra, meaning Gurasik Mechitzasa. Rabbi Yaakov holds that as kosher because we say that the Mechitza is schlepped up, is drawn up. of the walls of the house. Rabbanan Safi lo min Gurasik Mechitzasa.
You're sitting on top of the roof, so you don't
Yes.
you don't have the walls.
So you do have the walls. The walls halachically go up.
Oh, it's like an imaginary
Halachic,
extension
right,
of
right.
the walls
And
around you.
before we said that by the pillar, you don't say that. But here, Yaakov holds by the roof, you do say that. And Tosis explains because it's more noticeable, at least to the people that are inside the house. They see more of a wall. And Rabbanan say, like you, that you don't say Gurasik Mechitzasa on this at all. Same way by the Amud, you don't say it by the house either. But if you put these poles in the middle of the roof, so then even a back of holes is not kosher. The only reason back of holes is kosher is because Gurasik Mechitzasa. But to put these poles in the middle of the roof, you're not going to say Gurasik Mechitzasa. Because why should the back of hole that is kosher? It's only because of Gurasik. And if it's in the middle, if it's in the middle, so then the schach is too far away from the edges of the roof. That was Rav Huna. Rav Nachman, just get Rav Huna again. I didn't stress that was Rav Huna talking. That was Rav Huna. Rav Huna said that. Rav Huna said, Al Sfas Agag, and that's for a back hold that's kosher, but Bems Agag is possible. Rav Nachman,
Because you don't have the extended walls.
right. Rav Nachman, Bems Agag Machlok is that Rav Yaakov holds that as kosher even in the middle of the roof. So that's why I'm Chappelle. Where does it come from? How can it be kosher in the middle of the roof? What do you have? Where walls? So the Gemara doesn't say yet. But soon the Gemara is going to say the concept we had once upon a time in Erevin called Yumdin. We had that whole Parakos and Pasin. It's such a thing that if you have the outline of the four corners, a tefach by tefach, if there was an amma by an amma, there's going to be a tefach by a tefach, then it could be Yumdin. The word Yumdin is going to mean do, like du, double amudim. The fact that there's a outline of the corner that you have a 10 tefachim high, 1 by 1. So you put that in the four corners. That alone is considered a machitza. And by Erevin, it said that it does work by Shnach Shabbos. Over there, you have the case of the boar, Osin Pasim Levi Rose, and that was able to enclose the area. So too, if Yaakov holds, he said Yimdin also by Sukkah. Over there, you need a nama by a nama. In each corner here, you need a tefach by a tefach. So that's what Rav Nachman says according to Rav Yaakov, Machlokes, the Emsagav Machlokes. And Rav Yaakov holds that it's kosher even if it's in the middle of the roof, because of the Yimdin. Not because you don't have to have this far that the roof goes, the size of the roof go, or the size of the building go up, the size of the house, but the Yimdim themselves, the four corner pieces, they themselves are considered the mechitzas. When he says, according to Rav Nachman says that the machlokis is Yaakov's machir, even in the middle of the roof where you don't have the sfas agag, you don't have the size of the walls of the house coming up, he holds that that's kosher. How about the Rabbanan? The Rabbanan will argue that they only argue in that case and they don't say Yumdin, but if it will be on the edge of the roof where they have the benefit of raising the option of raising the size of the house, maybe Rabbanan agree that it's kosher over there. Rabbanan maybe don't hold of either at there. They don't hold of Yumdin and they don't hold of raising the good asik mechitzasa, the walls of the house. Take
What's Yimdin? I'm not getting it.
Remember in Erevin, we had a case of a boar that he wanted to take the water out, and that's a Rishus Yachid, and on the outside it's a Rishus Rabbim. So he made the four corner pieces in order, the outline of the four corner pieces, and then it's considered an outline of the Rishus Yachid, and that's good enough. That's the second parak in Erevin. We had the whole sugi over there, also possibly be rose. Here the case is the same idea, it's being applied to Sukkah. And maybe if you have the four corner pieces, that each one is 10 tefachim high, 1 by 1. Like
One by one makes it.
so then you put it by the four corners and you see some kind of an outline, maybe that's good enough.
That's going across.
What's going across?
So what's the Yimdin? What's extending?
You have the four
Just
corner pieces.
The corners
The corner
themselves.
pieces will be enough, and then you connect the lines by yourself. Like halachically, that'll be considered. If you have the shem dal mechitza, you have the four corners, maybe that's good enough. That's what a yumdin is. The corner pieces, and the back of is good enough. I sukkah, the Rabbanan say it's not good enough. And that Gemara wants to know, will the Rabbanan agree? According to this, will the Rabbanan agree that by the Sfas Agag it is good because maybe they also agree that good asik mechitzas of the house. That the Gemara says, take it. Bottom line here, that the Gemara is not sure. In the halacha, let's jump a second to the halacha. We don't pass like Rav Yaakov, we pass like the Rabbanan, so Dimdin is not good. And as far as the Sfas Agag, that's a teku. This Gemara says teku, so it's a suffix. It's a suffix if you could use the good asik of the house, and therefore says don't try not to use it, and don't say a bracha if you do. But if you have nothing else, so at least sit in the sukkah better than nothing, because it's a suffix. The Gemara continues. The Gemara wants to prove that Rav Nachman is right. Meisvei Akasha from a brayso to prove Rav Nachman is right. He says that it's good even in the middle of this roof because it's nusfar of Yumdin. Rav Huna didn't know about Yumdin. Rav Nachman said,
cases you have.
Here it says something about a gag. So is it kosher. what's the case? When it's only Sfasagag, because you have the walls, you have at least the walls of the house going up. But Rav Nachman said no, that even if you have no benefit, you don't have the option of the raising it because of Emsa Agag, but it's good enough because of the Yumdin. And now the Gemara is going to prove that he's right. The Gemara is going to prove because here in this Vaisa, it's going to say, where am I?
Means that these are making the walls.
Right. You don't need any kind of gang. You can be on the ground, like the Gemara says now. Meisvei, no Sapuk Nason Ba'aretz. This case of Ba'aretz, the Gemara is in the sense as the roof, Emsa Agag. Because what does Ba'aretz mean? You have no good asik mechitzasa. You're just on top on the ground. No roof. By the roof, you can talk about maybe by the edge of the roof and maybe the size of the walls of the house may be considered halachically going up. But if you're a Ba'aretz, so that's like Emsa Agag, and it says Iraq holds that's kosher. Meisvei, not Sapuk Nason Ba'aretz. You thrust 4 poles into the ground. In the ground, not by the Gag, on the ground. The Sikich al you put schach on top. Here you have it. The Yaakov holds that as kosher even without any kind of good asik mechitzasa. There's nothing yet to raise over here. The Chachamim postman because they don't hold of this. What do you see? The ground is the same thing as being in the middle of the Gag because there's no good asik over here. There's no walls to schlep up over here, and you still see that as kosher. The Kamash Rav Yaakov, we see that Rav Yaakov is kosher. Holds his kosher because of the Yumdin. We prove that Rav Yaakov holds that as kosher because of the Yumdin. And that's going to be true, and Rabbanan don't hold of it. It's not going to be the halacha because you pass like Rabbanan against Rav Yaakov. But Rav Yaakov holds that kosher because of Yumdin, and Rabbanan don't hold that. The Gemara is kasha, but the Gemara now continues. The Emsa who the pligi aval asfas agag div Yaakov ksheva. Then we have tifta Rabbanan betarti. Maybe we could also prove the other point. They only argued about the Oretz. How about if it would have been Sfas Agag? Maybe we didn't talk about that. If Rashi just talks about Oretz, which means a question about Yumdin, and Yaakov said it's kosher, one said it's not kosher. How about if it would have been on Sfas Agag? Since it doesn't talk about it, maybe we could deduce that Rabbanan also would have held that it's kosher because they also hold that the Sfas Agag is elevated. Before a second ago we said we didn't know even the contrary of Nachman. Now the Gemara wants to say that it is good, and even the contrary of Huna, it'll be a tifta Rav Huna. Huna said that Rabbanan don't hold about Sfas Agag. He said that Rabbanan will not agree that the edge of the roof goes up. And here, the fact that they didn't argue about that sounds a little bit like they would agree that it's kosher. But the Gemara says no, it's not a proof. There are two more focusing going on in the middle and also on the Sfas. Means that Rabbi Yaakov has 2 kulas, and Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbanan don't hold of either one. Rabbi Yaakov holds that it's good if you have Sfas Agag, and you don't even need that because you also have the Yumdin of Emsa Agag. He holds 2 kulas, and Rabbanan argue on both of them maybe. Well, they can forgive the Emsa Agag, lo diachak ochel Rav Yaakov, that people Emsa Agag machshav. Even though they only spoke about Oretz, which is a case of Emsa Agag, he wanted to tell you the chiddush of the Yumdin. That the chiddush of Rav Yaakov is more expressed by talking about when you're not by the Sfas Agag. Sfas Agag has 2 reasons to be machshav because of the Yumdin of these poles, and also the roof is the walls are coming up. But the Gemara wanted to tell you the chiddush of Rav Yaakov that even Yumdin are good, and Rabbanan would argue on both of them. So that's the end of the sugya. A few more lines just to bring out the point of Rav Yaakov, but the sugya talked about two points. One was Yumdin, and one was Sfas Agag, that maybe the walls of the house are considered good asik, and it comes out that we surely don't hold of the Yumdin. Rav Yaakov does. Fair Shabbos, Rav Yaakov holds of the hefty of the Yumdin by sukkah, but we don't hold like that. So Yumdin are not good. And as far as Sfas Agag, this issue about Sfas Agag, so the question if the Rabbanan hold of it or not. That's what we said. We ended up with a tickle before, and we're not sure if the Rabbanan hold. Good asik, right? So good asik of the Amud, the Gemara said before, surely is not good. Abayin Rava, if you're sitting on a pillar, you're not going to say good asik on the pillar to make walls around you. But when it's good asik of a house, that's better. But we're not sure if we pass like that or not. So that's going to be a question in halacha, and it says better not to do it. But if someone has no other choice, he should sit in the bracha. And the Gemara ends off with Rabbi Yaakov, Rabbanan, no Atzabuk Beis and Boros, Sikich Hagab, Rebecca Vomer, Gon Kol Shivu Yechakiku V'Yecholku V'Yesh Ben Tevach Al Kan V'Tevach Lakan Nidonim Mishum Dumit. Here's the word Dumit, which we didn't have here till now. We had a Nervin, and here it comes over here. Here's the word Dumit. Rabbi Yaakov says if you thrust 4 poles into the ground and you put schach on top, Rabbi Yaakov says that as you look at it as if you would carve it out, you'll be able to make a tefach by a tefach. So it's 10 tefachim high, of course, and now you'll carve it out. There'll be a tefach by a tefach. Rashi says that it says yechakiku v'yecholku because we're talking about round poles, so you have to carve out the outside, carve out the inside to get a 1 by 1 carved out. If it would be a square kind of a beam, so then just carve out the middle to make it that shape of a L shape. We're looking for an L shape over here. That's what we want. 1 by 1, an L shape. So if you have even if you have a round pole, if it's big enough that after you carve it out on the outside and inside, you would have still a L shape of 1 by 1 tefach, that would be good enough according to Rabbi Yaakov. He says Chedushim. He's not saying the whole issue of Yumdin. He says even you could do this that you could also, even if you don't see the outline, you don't see a hole in the corner, you look at that also as if it would be carved out. And that's also good enough. Everyone say we don't know the Yumdin even if it's carved out already. Shahaya Rabbi Yaakov Omer Yumdin Sukkah Tefach. Rabbi Yaakov said that the Yumdin of Sukkah Tefach, in contrast to Hilchos Shabbos, they have to have a nama by nama. By Sukkah is good enough to have the Tefach by Tefach. The Chacham don't hold of this whole halach of Yumdin. You have to have regular walls, two walls, and the third one can be a Tefach. We'll get to that eventually. That the third wall doesn't have to be a whole complete wall. That's the end of today's sugya. Just to skim through all the halachas that we had. The first one was talking about how to minimize the height of the sukkah. That convex sasos is not good even if you mevatel it. And as far as the halacha goes, even you have to be mevatel. In order that anything should be considered a permanent floor, it has to be that you mevatel it over there. Even offer will bitlo. Rabbi Yossi has some kulos over there about offer ben asal lefanoso, teben stam, and we passed like to Rabban that even offer has to be butter. The next sugya spoke about if you have the bottom of the schach hanging into the sukkah, does that minimize the 20 yamas? Does that minimize the 10 tefachim? So it says that as far as the 20 yamas, if it's the part that's going inside to the sukkah is less than, it's chamasim ruba mitzivasa. So maybe I could just go back a second to everybody can see it together. That if the part which was going into the sukkah, over there we said that it's kosher. It's because I'm sorry, when it's 20 yamas, you have to have slasa mugam chamas, and the part is going into 20 yamas. But as far as going into 10 tefachim, over there the Gemara said even if it's chamas mugam silasa, you don't ignore it because it's still it's not comfortable, so therefore it's not a kosher sukkah. The next case was we had a sukkah higher than 20 yamas, and you have a platform built in. So if it has 3 walls around it, it's kosher. If it has only 2 walls and the third wall is far away, it has to be within the alamas in order to be dofen akuma. And the Gemara, you could even use dofen akuma on a couple of the sides also is good enough. On 3 sides, you could, as long as less than the alamas and each side is good enough. If it was less than 10 tefachim and you're digging out in order to make it 10 tefachim high, so there we're going to say that it has to be less than 3 tefachim in order to be loved. And the Gemara explained that you don't say alamis, less than the alamis because here you don't have a pool. In order to make a pool, you have to be less than 3 tefachim to be loved. After that, the Gemara said if you can use an amud which is sitting on top of an amud which is 10 tefachim high, you want to use good asik. Abai thought it's good. Rabbi said no, but it's not chitzas ani koros. After that was less of you about condensing that Yaakov holds that you have yumdin and by tefach in each corner is good enough. The Rabbanan hold of that. We don't hold like that. And the other issue was if the Rabbanan will talk about sfasak, is the kind of good asik which is better than the good asik of the amud because. As Taisa says, if you go into the house, you see the walls also. You say good asik on such kind of a mechitzas abayis. That's a question what the Rabbanan hold. If Yaakov Shul, he holds that is good. He doesn't even need that. He holds that even the Yudin is good enough. But the Rabbanan is a question in the Gemara if it's good or not. Then the chatchila not to be so mechanit. But if somebody has no other choice, he should sit in it without a bracha.
Rebbe.
Yes, please.
Yeah, to understand all the sugyas on Amud Beis, Tosfos alludes to a yesod of a difference between the concept of mechitzas in Shabbos and in Sukkah, which Rav Chaim is mevayer in the Grach and the Rambam. The last line of the long Tosfos on Amud Beis, right, near the bottom, but the last line of the first Tosfos says, "V'yesh lomer delo dami reshus Shabbos shehulim noa regel rabim leSukkah." So Rav Chaim says that the whole concept of mechitzas on Shabbos, the ikar is lahefek, lahakif veligdor erishus, to encircle an area. Whereas on Sukkah, the whole din of mechitzas is you dafka need defanos labinyan. So, and you also need that it's samach l'shak. You need both nekudas, that it's actual defanos, and that samach l'shak. And that generates quite a few nafkaminas, and some of them are lechumra in Shabbos, and some of them are lechumra in Sukkah. But that's really the yesod. The only other harora I wanted to make is that there's a very, very interesting, on Daf Yud Amud Beis, there's a very interesting 2-line Tosfos that says Noi Sukkah, related to the sugya that we just learned about Hutzin. Hutzin told us that it's Dira Srucha because the Hutzin are sticking down below 10. But if it's something we're putting up for Noi Sukkah, like all the stuff we put up in the Sukkah, it doesn't add to the schach, it doesn't subtract from the schach, and it does not make a din of dera srucha according to this Tosfos, which is called the Tosfos of Noi Sukkah on Yud Amud Beis.
Yashikov. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yashikov.
Ruch Tia.
Thank you, everybody. We'll be back in about 15 minutes for Pirkei Avos.
Shkoch.
Thank you. Thank you. Call to